the channel, as always like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fanfiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
In the past week, many things happened. I reached level 15 and gained a lot of real fighting experience. I also learned many jutsus from the Uchiha library in Minato, like the substitution jutsu and the fireball jutsu and some genjutsus. I also asked Minato to teach me the Rasengan since he was the creator of this jutsu, so there's no one better to teach it than him. I made some progress in training it, but I still couldn't use it, making me realize just how difficult this ninjutsu is, and I gained some respect for its creator. I was also progressing very well with the seals art, and I was close to mastering the basics thanks to Kushina wholeheartedly teaching me everything she knew. They also made some progress in making the seal needed for Kurama so that it became harder to manipulate him, but it's still going to take a long time for it to be finished. I also made sure to visit the orphanage many times with Naruto and Sasuke, bringing with us all sorts of food and clothing for the kids, which they appreciated a lot, and it brought a genuine smile on my face. In the Uchiha clan, I made sure to teach the workers the recipes for the pastry shops in the Italian restaurant until Fugaku bought the shops, and he just brought me the good news today as we were having tea together. Bakorio, I finally settled the shop's matter. Thankfully, we got some help from the Hitaki clan and made it easier to get them, but if we want to expand in the future, it might be even harder, Fugaku said. Yeah, just stop acting like my secretary, you old creep. I thought while looking at the serious man in front of me. Great news, and don't worry about this. The main thing is how is fixing the attitude of the police force going on right now. Fugaku looked at me helplessly and said, I investigated deeply in the matter, and I found that a lot of people are acting that way, including some captains in the police force, making it hard to weed out the problematic people. I frowned at this since I didn't expect the numbers to be this huge. And did you find the reason behind their behavior? Fugaku nodded coldly. During the Nine Tails incident, we were stopped from interfering in the battle by Danzo and tasked with protecting the civilians. But after the incident, Danzo used this same reason and accused us of not wanting to help, and even said that we might have a hand in the attack ending with us in this current situation. Now those people are blinded by rage, and instead of directing it at Danzo, they think that the people are ungrateful for their help, and they started acting like this as some sort of payback. I see. I understand, so what are you planning to do now? I said. I plan on firing them, but it will cause a huge dissatisfaction in the clan and leave the police force lacking in personnel, said Fugaku with a frown. You need to be decisive. You are the clan head. You rule them, not the other way around. And if they keep causing trouble, make sure to punish them accordingly. As for the lack of personnel, I think you should consider hiring workers from other clans, I said with a serious look. Fugaku shook his head and said, we can't give up on our last political power. I couldn't help but laugh at him mockingly, causing his stoic face to twitch a little. What political power when Danzo can order you around however he wants? Plus, they are using something stupid like this to keep us from getting really involved in the village. Can't you see it? This is the same as putting a leash on a dog. Fugaku was angry to the point his eyes started turning into Sharingan, but he calmed himself down while thinking the kid in front of him must have a reason to say this, so he sighed and said, so how is hiring people from other clans going to help? And I couldn't help but smile at this man's temper and how he doesn't let his pride and anger control him. Big clans won't be interested in joining the police force since most of them has better things to validate their authority, but the same can't be said for the small clans like the Inuzuka or Izumo clans, for example, and by accepting them inside the police force, they will benefit a lot from it, and we will have more allies to rely on since we will always be in control of the police force. Fugaku's eyes lit up. Indeed, you only get something by giving something else back, and with us in complete control over the police force, they can never take it away from us. I nodded at him with a smile and said, just pick the clans you want to invite wisely and everything will be fine. By the way, how are the renovations for the shops going? They should be over in no more than 5 days according to requirements, Fugaku responded. Good, I said, before I remembered something and asked, how is Itachi doing in the ANBU? He's doing well, plus he's working under Kakashi Hitaki sometimes, so he's going to learn a lot, he said. I took a sip of my tea while deep in thought, so he didn't go on that mission like in the original before I said, indeed, Kakashi is really talented, if only life wasn't that cruel to him. Fugaku with sadness in his eyes replied to me, this is the life of a ninja, suffering is inevitable. No, it's just the life of a human, I said with a tired sigh before I continued, I need to go now, we will talk when the shops are ready. Okay. Fugaku said while looking at the back of the kid in front of him while thinking, just who are you? Because for a long time he felt that this wasn't a kid from his mature view of the world and ideas, but what makes him sure of it is the indifferent look in his eyes he always has, and he doesn't even try to hide it. They say eyes are the windows of the soul, but behind those eyes there's only emptiness, a very scary emptiness. Meanwhile at Naruto's house, my clone started noticing that some people were watching him even more closely these past few days, and it only starts when he reaches Naruto's house, and according to my senses and map they hide all around the house to listen into what's happening. The previous people watching over Naruto were still hiding in their usual places and watching from a distance, so these new people can only have one identity. Root Hummy though. Knowing how careful Danzo is, it's impossible for him not to send many Sensor Ninja TCH. This is going to be a pain to deal with, and I started pondering how to deal with this situation. Creating a shadow clone won't work since they can sense multiple people inside, and normal clones won't be of use as well since they could easily be differentiated from a real body. You want to play it dirty? Fine by me, Danzo, I thought with a ruthless smile plastered on my face. After my stay in this world for a while, I started understanding just how much Danzo likes to stick his nose in everything. It really made me wonder how no one killed him until now. Still, to actually send his root members to stalk Naruto like this, it's impossible to be just for making 5-year-old friends, so I tried to twist my mind as much as possible to be on the same wavelength as Danzo, and I could only think of one thing. He's feeling the threat of the Uchiha getting back their power, so he wants to understand Naruto's situation clearly. I need to make sure he doesn't act against Shursui earlier than the original, otherwise it will be really troublesome, I thought. Noting in my head that I should contact Shursui sooner, I started thinking about my current problem considering the hindrances and troubles I have to go through every time I want to meet Naruto. Since interacting with Naruto this way is going to get harder and harder, let's just take Naruto away, I thought before I started planning on how to do it. The easy part is taking Naruto away since we could just replace him with a shadow clone. The hard part though is giving him a new identity. I started pondering before I decided on a good way to do it. Since Konoha has many merchants coming and going, let's use one of them to sneak inside one of my clones and let Naruto take its place later, but it should be something convincing, so I will have to pick merchants that have a close relation to the Uchiha clan. I will get this information later from Fugaku. I thought of a plan, and with it settled, my clone spent his time playing and training like a normal ninja kid. Poor Danzo doesn't know he's going to cause Konoha to lose their only Jinchuriki, and if Hiruzen knew, he'd just kill him from anger. While one of my clones was troubled by Danzo, another was investigating one of the huge and noble clans in Konoha, the Hyuga clan. It was only 2 years ago when a huge incident happened to this unfortunate clan, now known as the Hyuga affair. Because Kumo and Konoha were still at war. In an attempt to put an end to the fighting, they agreed to a peace treaty to be signed on the date which coincided with Hinata's 3rd birthday. But soon enough, the treaty was revealed to be nothing more than a cover, and the village hidden in the clouds' real goal was to kidnap Hinata in order to obtain the Byakugan and its secrets. Unfortunately for Kumo, the one responsible for this, who was the head ninja at the time, was killed in his attempt by Hinata's father, Hayashi Hyuga. The situation was so urgent it led to every Konoha Umbu being dispatched out of the village on a single mission and be on standby in case fighting broke out. Kumo of course denied all accusations of the kidnapping and demanded the body of Hayashi as compensation for the death of their head ninja as per the stipulations of the treaty, because they have a Hokage with a spine. The Hyuga elders and Konoha's leadership proposed that Hizashi be used instead as Hayashi's body double because they were twins. In addition to protecting Hayashi, the Hyuga's leader, doing so would keep the Byakugan secrets from being discovered. Hizashi agreed. When Hayashi tried to protest, Hayashi immobilized him with a single blow. He then explained that he was not doing this to preserve the Hyuga structure, but to save the life of his brother, to prevent war, and to choose his own fate for the first time in his life. Because from the moment Hayashi was born, he was under the cursed seal of the Hyuga clan, making him no different than a slave for the main branch. And just like that, thanks to Konoha's spineless Hokage and elders agreeing with Kino's demand, even though Kumo was in the wrong, the life of a very strong ninja was lost. But this isn't the main thing my clone is investigating. He was investigating the recent happy event that quickly turned sad, which happened in the Hyuga clan 2 weeks ago. Hayashi's wife gave birth to another daughter, and they named her Hanabi. But the happiness didn't last for long because Hayashi's wife Himawari, who was already a frail woman, fell ill and her situation was very critical, and they did everything they could to heal her, but nothing worked. Hayashi slowly started falling into despair. First, he felt like he killed his brother with his own hands, and now his wife is dying in front of him, and he can't do anything about it, making him think this is his retribution. My clone was surprised by Hinata's mother's name but thought it was logical. In the anime, she was never mentioned, and even though I never watched the continuation of Naruto series, Boruto, I still know that Naruto named his daughter Himawari. Now seeing that Hinata's mother's name is also Himawari, it made sense for Hinata to name her daughter after her dead mother. Meanwhile, inside the Hyuga's clan head house, a very pale-looking woman was laying on a bed while two people were holding her hands. One was a man with long, black hair and featureless white eyes like all members of his clan, wearing very traditional, loose-fitting robes with a long-sleeved, brown haori, and he had a worried and pained look on his face. The other was a little girl with a fair complexion. She has dark blue hair that is cut just above her forehead, akin to a bowl cut with chin-length strands framing her face, and the same featureless eyes as the man in the room but with tears falling down from them. These are Hayashi and Hinata Hyuga, both feeling devastated for the woman's current condition but can't do anything about it, worsening day by day, and no medical ninja could heal her. "Father, please tell me mommy going to be okay," Hinata said with tears in her eyes. Hayashi couldn't look at his daughter's eyes because he knows there's no saving his wife. Suddenly a servant came running in and said, "Hayashi-sama, a kid from the Uchiha clan, keeps on insisting on meeting you in dash." Before the servant could keep talking, Hayashi cut him off with a look oozing with killing intent. "Didn't I say to not disturb me when I'm with my wife?" Hayashi was ready to turn this servant's life into hell if he doesn't give him a satisfying answer. Scared for his life, the servant quickly said, "Hi Hayashi-sama." That kid said he could heal Himawari-sama and kept insisting on it. Hayashi's eyes widened and was about to hit the servant for this joke. Medical expert can't heal his wife, and an Uchiha kid can? Uchiha aren't even famous for their medical ninjutsu, but before he could say anything he heard a hopeful voice. "Really? Can he save mommy?" Seeing his daughter with hope in her eyes, Hayashi calmed down and said, "Bring the kid here. Bring the kid here. But tell him if he thinks this is a joke, he can forget about returning to his clan in one piece." The servant quickly said, "Why yes, sir," before he rushed away feeling like he just dodged an Amaterasu. If someone could look inside the house of the clan head of the Hyuga clan right now, they will be surprised to see a servant begging a kid with teary eyes while saying, "Kid, you better save Himawari-sama, otherwise we will both suffer from Hayashi-sama's wrath." "Hey, I didn't force you to tell him, right? We just made a simple deal. Don't stick your fate with mine. I am sure you will be punished either way." I couldn't help but tease this nervous servant that accepted my bribe easily after I complimented him a little. As for the servant, he felt that he made the biggest mistake in his life making a deal with this little devil, and now he's just hoping that he can make it out of this situation alive. And just like that, a nervous teenager on the verge of a mental breakdown and a smiling 5-year-old kid made their way to the room containing the Hyuga trio. The moment we entered the room, Hayashi's facial expression kept changing from shock to despair to anger. As for Hinata, her hopeful face dimmed again after seeing that it was just a kid her age. Hayashi was expecting by an Uchiha kid. The servant meant one of the two famous geniuses of the Uchiha clan, Shursui and Itachi. With their great achievements, they might truly make a miracle and save his wife, but now he can only see an unknown kid around his daughter's age smiling at him, making him angry beyond belief, so he directly activated his Byakugan and attacked the servant that cost. This situation using the famous gentle fist of the Hyuga clan without even saying anything. Hinata screamed, and the servant wasn't able to react at all and simply closed his eyes and waited for the pain or death that's heading towards him depending on how merciful Hayashi is at the moment, but he only heard a thud sound. But after a few seconds he felt nothing, so he opened his eyes and he was shocked at what he saw. Hayashi was holding his right palm in shock while staring at the little kid standing guard in front of the servant. The Uchiha gave birth to another monster, and this one is even more scary than the other two, Hayashi thought. What the servant didn't see is that the moment Hayashi initiated his attack, the kid beside him strengthened his body with chakra, jumped at the fist's height and intercepted it with a spinning kick all in one motion. And suddenly a sound broke the silence that fell on the room. That's quite rude, Hyuga clan head. Is this how you treat a guest that came to help your wife? The black-haired kid spoke. This time, Hayashi was shocked since he didn't think that a kid can withstand his attack even if it's not at full power, so he began to take the kid in front of him seriously and regained his calm and felt that this abnormally strong kid might really have a way to heal his wife. So he asked doubtfully, I am sorry for my earlier behavior, but do you really have a way to heal my wife? Hearing the question, Hinata looked at the kid in front of her hopefully, and she heard him say, I have an idea about your wife's illness, but I have to check on it personally to confirm my theory. Hayashi was disappointed a little, but he understood that what the kid said is logical. Unless he can see the future, it's impossible for him to know without diagnosing her first, so he gestured for him, please go ahead and check. I nodded at him and said to the servant with a smile, you should leave for now, and Hayashi too nodded at him, and he ran away again while sending me a grateful look. Inside I was thinking, sigh, even when I strengthened my body with chakra I could barely repel him. Fighting someone like Hayashi head-on is impossible for the current me, but that's just for a head-on confrontation. I quickly stood beside the sleeping Himawari, and I could see her complexion was very pale, as if there's no blood circulating inside of her. I activated my 3-Tomo Sharingan, which shocked Hayashi, and I looked at him, this is a secret, before I turned away to my patient. While Hinata looked at my eyes curiously, Hayashi felt a chill running down his spine. Not from seeing the Sharingan, but from feeling something else, just like the time when he felt his brother's killing intent. This time he felt a dark emptiness radiating from the kid like a dark shadow ready to swallow him whole, so he simply nodded. Even though the Byakugan and the Sharingan are different dojutsu, they still have some similar abilities. One of them is seeing the chakra pathways. The Byakugan is way better at this since it gives a clearer vision, but gotta work with what you have. Himawari's body didn't seem to have any internal injuries, and the same with her chakra pathways, but what's weird is her body wasn't generating chakra anymore, and it seems like, if her final reserves are over, she's going to die, so I asked Hayashi. Did something happen for her body to not generate chakra? Hayashi shook his head and said with a sad face, no. Himawari's body was weak from the time she was a kid and always lacked in vitality. And one of the best medical nin that we brought said that bearing children caused her to exhaust her last reserves of vitality, which in turn caused her physical energy to weaken, and now she can't achieve a balance between physical and spiritual energies to produce chakra. I started thinking vitality is truly a problem to restore since it's basically a person's life essence. Well, they can probably heal her if they transplant Hashirama cells into her since they contain a huge amount of vitality, but good luck getting those from Danzo. As I was deep in thought, a shy voice suddenly distracted me and I felt something hold my shirt. As I looked at this crying little girl with my eyes back to normal, she said, "Are you going to save mommy?" I gave her a reassuring smile and patted her head. "Don't worry, I will save your mother, but I need to focus now." Hinata nodded her head cutely with a red face. Being a medical nin is to know how to stimulate the natural regenerative ability of the body by using healing chakra, but that consumes vitality, so using healing chakra on this woman is pointless, and what's needed to save her is direct life force. Transferring or to inject her with a chakra full of vitality, and just this won't be enough. For the second method to work, you first need a chakra full of vitality, and second, you need to help transform it back to physical energy inside of the patient's body and help her reach a balance. So add too much and she will explode, add too little and you will cause the foreign energy that's not assimilated to be rejected and cause a bad reaction inside her weakened body, causing her death. And this is the reason why no one wants to take the risk, since if you mess up and kill the Hyuga's head's wife, you better say goodbye to your life. But that's only for normal people to worry about, I thought as I quickly opened the system panel and made a new save point with the name, I am not a doctor. After preparing a save just in case I mess up what I want to do, I faced Hayashi and said, I can only think of 2 ways that can save her. Do you want to know them? Hayashi and Hinata both looked excited that there's a way to save Himawari, but I quickly killed their hopes and said, first listen to what I'm going to say before you get your hopes up. You were right. Please tell us what solution you came up with, said Hayashi with a frown. The first way is to transfer someone's life force directly to her, but to do that you need a special jutsu which I don't have, and I don't think our whole village have. Hearing what I said, Hayashi's frown deepened, but he waited for me to explain the second way. The second way, I am sure another medical nin already proposed it to you. It's to inject her with chakra that has the properties to increase vitality and help her restore the balance between her physical and spiritual energies. Of course, the problem here is the rarity of such chakra and the huge requirement for chakra control, since any mistakes will cause the patient's death. Hearing my second solution looked helpless and said, indeed, one of the medical nin proposed it and explained its danger, but we couldn't even attempt it because we couldn't find someone with this kind of chakra that can restore vitality. Hinata looked sad when she heard our conversation and her eyes started tearing up again until she heard my next words. Well, I just happen to have this kind of chakra, but the problem is I don't have enough control and experience as a medical nin, so I can't promise you anything. Hayashi looked at me with doubt, but hidden inside his eyes was pure excitement. Do you really have such chakra? Different from him, Hinata looked purely excited and seemed to believe me, so I decided to make a quick demonstration. Give me your hand, I said as I took out a kunai. Hayashi quickly understood what I want to do, so he rolled up his sleeve and extended his hand, and I used the kunai to make a small cut to the horror of Hinata, but soon it was gone when I extended my hand and red chakra came out of it just enough to cover the cut, and it quickly healed without leaving a single scar. Hayashi was delighted because he understood I didn't use any medical ninjutsu that stimulates the natural regeneration process of the body, and he even felt revitalized after that chakra entered his body. Amazing. With this chakra, we might really save Himawari. Well, of course, idiot, if the Nine Tails chakra doesn't work, nothing will, I thought. I got this chakra from Kurama and Minato, and Kushina helped seal it inside of my clone just for this purpose. So do you want to take the risk or not? I said. Hayashi wasn't sure on what to do since the risk is too big, but a voice soon dispelled his hesitation. Please save mommy. It was Hinata's voice. Looking at his daughter and knowing that his wife will only die if this continues, he said, we are willing to take the risk. Please save my wife, as he bowed his head a little. I nodded at him and said, I will do my best, but you should understand nothing is for free. He nodded back at me and said, the Hyuga clan will make sure to repay the favor if you save her. It's good since you promised to involve all of your clan, because you alone are worthless to me, I thought, but outwardly I only said, good, I will trust your words. I focused my attention back on the sleeping Himawari and activated my Sharingan again to check the situation of her chakra, and I could barely see anything because of how little there's left. I put my hand on her abdomen and started channeling a very small quantity of Kurama's chakra inside of her, and once I made contact with where her spiritual and physical energies connect, I started transforming it into physical energy and tried to merge it with what remained inside of her. But what I didn't expect is for the previously calm spiritual energy inside of her to rush at the energy I was controlling, but because the difference in ratios was so big, the foreign energy was instead pushed away, causing Himawari's body to start shaking. Seeing that the situation was going bad, I did my best to inject more chakra and regain the control I lost on the first one I injected, but this time I made a terrible mistake as I put too much, causing her shrank chakra channels to directly overload, and with a strong shake they exploded, causing Himawari to die. Mommy! Himawari! Two shrill voices filled with despair were heard at the same time. I stood there lost in the moment because, intended or not, I killed this woman, a woman that did me no harm. this to happen, and I thought that knowing I can go back in time will make it easier for me to accept it, but looking at the desperation in Hayashi's eyes and the look in Hinata's eyes, it suddenly brought back some old memories I wanted to forget. It was the look of seeing your whole world collapsing, and I remember that day too when I lost everything, including my heart, the day both my parents were killed in front of me when I was just a kid, and I couldn't do anything but hide. Looking at the current situation and seeing my younger self in Hinata's, I caused me to feel that terrible memory, a memory I could never forget. As I was lost in those memories, Hayashi in his anger and sadness jumped at me, my clone, and hit my clone with a strong palm strike not intended to kill, but it was enough to dispel my clone. I received the memories and experience of this clone, and without me realizing it, the tomos of my Sharingan started to slowly transform into the shape of a triquetra picture in the chapter's comment. That terrible pain I felt caused me to awaken my Mangekyo Sharingan, and I instinctively understood the new abilities I got from it, abilities really fitting for me ironically. At least something good came out of all of this, I thought as my eyes reverted back to normal, and I thought back at how the devastated Hayashi looked at me with anger, causing me to feel a deep guilt. I slowly calmed myself down again and started remembering the process I went through and the mistakes I made while noting everything that happened so next time I won't fail so miserably. Back at the Hyuga house, Hayashi kept grieving in sadness and anger at the kid that toyed with him with a clone, but it was his decision to try this, so he kept blaming himself even more. While Hinata simply cried nonstop while hugging her mother. After I finished sorting out my experience, I thought, the pain I feel in my heart is bad enough. I don't want to be a source of pain for others too, as I made a promise to myself to be more careful in the future. Feeling it was time, I opened the systems panel and chose to load to the save point with the name I didn't find funny anymore. I am not a doctor, and knowing that I was back in time, I felt at ease again, but now with different eyes. Once the darkness faded away, I started seeing the situation in the room clearly again, and I sighed in relief, causing Hayashi and Hinata to look at me in surprise because just an instant before I was saying I wanted to focus, and now I was sighing as if a huge burden was leaving my shoulders. I ignored the looks they gave me, and I started explaining again the ways I figured out to save her life, and Hayashi agreed again in the end after hearing Hinata, so I turned my focus on the sleeping Himawari. Now knowing how hard it is to both control the chakra and transform it to physical energy, and then helping merge with her current physical and spiritual energy, I came with a simple but perfect solution. If 2 hands aren't enough, use 4, and if that's still not enough, use 6. I thought, and that's what I did as I quickly did A plus hand sing, and used the shadow clone jutsu to make 2 more clones to the shock of both Hayashi and Hinata, but they didn't say anything when they saw the focused look on all of the clones. I quickly pointed at one of the clones and said, "You will be responsible for transforming chakra into physical energy." Then I pointed at the second clone. "You will be responsible for injecting chakra, and I will deal with manipulating the rest. Stay in sync with me and help if needed." They both nodded, and all 3 activated Sharingan and put their hands on Himawari's abdomen before the first one started injecting Kurama's chakra at my signal. The second clone quickly started transforming it into physical energy, and because this time we injected the right amount, we weren't overwhelmed by the spiritual energy, nor was it too much to overload her shrunk chakra vessels. I tried my best to keep both energies balanced, and before long chakra started being generated again. This time chakra that contained some vitality, and it slowly started being absorbed by Himawari's body, restoring some of her lost vitality, and before long her pale complexion began to gain some color on it. Seeing that her body was functioning properly, I stopped helping in keeping the balance since her body can do it automatically again, and I dispelled my clones. I turned to Hinata and Hayashi and smiled. It worked. "Great. Amazing," they both said, with faces full of happiness and excitement as they rushed to Himawari's side and looked at her rosy complexion. "Thank you so much. I really don't know how to repay you," Hayashi said with a grateful look. "Thank you, Inai-chan," Hinata said with a happy and shy look. "You are welcome, but this only helps her for a while. It's still a long way to cure her completely, so make sure she doesn't have any more kids until then," I said as I gave Hayashi a weird look. Of course we will make sure of that," responded Hayashi seriously to hide his embarrassment. "Well, She should wake up soon, and I still have some things to do. Let's have a proper talk later, I said, intending to leave them some privacy. Thank you, I will send for someone to contact you, said Hayashi, accepting my offer since he really wanted to have some time with his wife and daughters after all this pain he's been through. Leaving the Hyuga clan, I couldn't help but think family, huh? As my thoughts drifted to the family I left behind before this clone also dispelled, bringing with it all its memories to the real body. Next day, I went to ask Fugaku about Shursui since I was worried that Danzo might act recklessly, but I was surprised at what he said. He's not in the village. Itachi asked him for help to complete a mission. So it's finally here, huh? I thought as I started remembering something I read about in Itachi's life story, but I asked to confirm it. Oh, Itachi can't complete something with his current power. After all, Itachi was already at Jonin level at this age. Fugaku nodded. According to what I know, it's an S-rank mission given by Danzo, but I don't know the details. I see. I am sure those two together will be fine as long as they are not fighting a Kage-level ninja, I said to reassure him. I hope so, Fugaku sighed as he knows he can't keep holding his son's hand forever. I am going to train with Naruto and Sasuke for a while. Call me if they come back, I said. Sure, he responded, and I quickly flickered away while sending a clone to go with Sasuke and Naruto while my real body quickly arrived at a blind spot I always used to leave the village, and for the first time I left the village with my real body. If I am not wrong, Itachi was sent to assassinate Mukai Kohinada, a man who was previously an Umbu. But after one of his kids got ill, he started working as a double agent and leaked a lot of top-secret information to the village hidden in the mist Kiri for money to help treat his kid's illness. Eventually, Danzo somehow found out and sent Itachi to eliminate him as a test, and he was allowed to choose only one helper, and Itachi chose Shursui. In the original story, once they find Mukai's meeting with Kirine, they quickly dealt with those ninja, but when it came to fighting Mukai, both Shursui and Itachi were outclassed, and he simply manhandled them with his superior taijutsu skill, losing only because he didn't expect Shursui's terrifying Mangekyo Sharingan, causing him to fall under possibly the strongest genjutsu, Kodo Amatsukami dash. Because Mukai left a trigger in his body to commit suicide if he falls under a genjutsu, he ended up killing himself before Shursui could completely control him with his ability. Once I sorted all the information I have on the man, I used my strong senses to track Itachi's smell and traces, and I quickly started following them. I need to hurry up, otherwise I won't arrive in time, I thought as I sped up as much as possible. 3 hours later. As I was jumping from tree to tree, I finally heard some fighting sounds, and I quickly went in that direction and was just in time to see Mukai immobilizing Itachi using the Hyuga's gentle fist jutsu, and Shursui was rushing from behind Mukai to save Itachi. Just in time, I thought as just moments after this in the original, Mukai will grab Shursui by the neck and strangle him, and Shursui would retaliate with his Mangekyo Sharingan's ability, Kodo Amatsukami. As Mukai was about to catch Shursui, I quickly started using hand seals and sent a great fireball jutsu at him, which he split with his high mastery of gentle fist. But it was only for a distraction for Shursui to retreat as I landed beside the immobilized Itachi and picked him up. Itachi was shocked by my presence, and Shursui was the same, because even though we never met before, he still knew of me from Itachi. Yo Itachi, I never thought I will see you like this, I said to the shocked Itachi with a grin while carrying him on my back. Mukai looked at this weird development with a frown and felt he really needs a cigarette and drink to help go through this day. Itachi finally regained his calm, but before he could say anything, Mukai started speaking in annoyance. What's a kid doing here now? Before I replied, I went to Shursui and gave him Itachi while saying don't use that for now, causing Shursui's eyes to shrink, and Itachi didn't miss this change. After I finished with this, I looked at Mukai and approached him with a smile. Hi Mukai, I heard a lot about you. Mukai looked at this kid that doesn't seem afraid of him, and it reminded him of his little kids that he knows he can't meet anymore, making him sigh, and said, Kid, are you trying to buy time? Kid, are you trying to buy time for Itachi to recover? Oh, what a careful man. I thought as I looked at Shursui trying to help Itachi recover quickly from his chakra pathways getting blocked, and I simply shook my head. No, today you were destined to die. And you should understand with your family in Konoha, they will definitely be used against you mercilessly with someone like Danzo there, even if you survived Itachi and Shirsue's assassination. Mukai took out a cigarette, put it on his mouth, and lit it up. As he exhaled the smoke, he sighed while thinking about his situation. This kid doesn't seem to be lying, so if he's not trying to buy time, that means what he said to that kid Shirsue about not using it is probably true, and my life was in danger. And from the surprise they both showed, it seems he's specifically here for me and doesn't seem to be worried about these two. Sigh. Mukai quickly finished his thoughts with another sigh and said, "So what do you want from me?" "Relax, I am here to help you," I said, and someone quickly interjected. "Bakorio, do you understand what you are doing? Helping a traitor is the same as betraying the village," Itachi said. I looked at him the same you would look at an idiot, a look very unfamiliar to him since he's always considered a genius. "I heard a lot from your father, but seeing the real thing is really amusing." Shirsue simply kept looking at me warily after I revealed a secret, and Itachi said, "Were you sent here by father?" "Stop trying to gather information, and for your knowledge, you said Mukai was a traitor and need to be killed, right?" "Yes, he's endangering the world, and the information he leaked might cause a new war," Itachi replied seriously. "I see. This is what Danzo told you, right?" I said. Itachi's eyes flickered a little before he nodded. "Let me then explain to your stupid mind how the reality of this corrupted village works. Want to hear it, or do you want to stick to your close-minded view?" I said to him with a cold look, a look reminding him of his father's eyes, making Itachi irritated, but this time Shirsue was the one that replied. "If what you're going to say doesn't convince us, we will have to report you to the village," he said calmly while ready at any moment to use his Mangekyo Sharingan. "This is a question to both of you, and I hope you don't answer it naively. As a member of Umbu, and knowing how strong some of the members are like Mukai, why do you think Orochimaru can escape from the village after he was caught doing human experiments using kidnapped people from the village?" I said with a smile. They both pondered for a bit, and Itachi, remembering Orochimaru's cunning gaze, said, "Orochimaru probably prepared an escape route beforehand," and Shirsue nodded in agreement, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I turned to Mukai, observing us, and said, "He, Mukai, you wouldn't mind leaking more secrets, right?" He looked at me with a bottle of wine now in his hand and said, "What do you want?" "You were trusted a lot by Hiruzen, so you should know what happened. Please tell these two idiots what happened the day of Orochimaru's escape," I said with a grin, and we all waited for his answer. "Well, it's quite simple. He fought the Hokage and lost, but because he was his student, he couldn't punish him and let him leave in the end. Although with some injuries," said Mukai indifferently, and took a swig from his wine. Both Itachi and Shirsue couldn't bring themselves to believe this, because human experimentation with one's fellow villagers is one of, if not the most heinous crimes anyone can commit. They struggled to believe the Hokage can act like this and allow someone like this to leave just because he's a student, but I said with a shrug, "It's the truth. He acts this way with all his students and friends. The same way no one punished Tsunade for not coming to help the village during the Ninetales incident, or for all the terrible things Danzo did. Because they were close to him, no one punished them. Although Tsunade and the Senju clan were terribly wronged by the village, and she barely earned this privilege after she lost everything. This is the reality." What's your answer? You two love peace, and you want to bring peace so badly, even at the price of ignoring the humiliation and the struggle your clan is going through, I said coldly at both of them. These are just the words of a traitor and a kid with unknown motives. We have no reason to believe what you say, Shirsue said, trying to convince himself, while Itachi was struggling to settle the raging feelings in his heart. Was I only foolishly dreaming for peace? Itachi thought, and this idea kept burning in his heart. Stop being in denial, Shirsue. This world isn't just rainbows and sunshine, and Itachi, I can see that you are questioning your belief, right? Itachi looked at me, shocked that I can see through him. How did Yo dash? I cut him off. Yes, I can see through you quite easily. Your dream for peace isn't wrong. I actually like it. What I don't like is the way you are trying to do it. Itachi said with doubt, What do you mean? I sighed and approached Mukai, causing him to raise his vigilance, but I simply extended my hand for his jug of wine, which he retrieved away, and said seriously, No drinking for kids. Itachi and Shursui looked at my interaction with their deadly enemy speechlessly. TCH. Anyways, Itachi, you should understand that everything comes with a price, and the price tag for peace is very high. You turn a blind eye at the mistreatment the clan is suffering because you want peace, and you even started hating your father because he started getting fed up with this situation and might start fighting back soon. Unfortunately, what you don't understand is even if the Uchiha clan doesn't retaliate at all, those elders ruling the village won't leave it alone, and sooner or later will find a way to antagonize us more. I explained to him as clear as possible. But if the situation continue like this, peace will be broken and many lives will be lost, Itachi said with anguish in his voice, remembering a scene from his childhood when his father took him to the battlefield with piles of dead bodies everywhere during the Third Great Ninja War. Itachi couldn't help but remember the reason he yearned for peace. The day his father took him to the battlefield of the Third Great Ninja War, when he was 4 years old, and he tried to help an injured ninja from the Hidden Stone Village, IWA, but what awaited him wasn't appreciation like he expected, rather that ninja attempted to kill him and was only saved thanks to Fugaku keeping an eye on him. From that day on, Itachi had a very strong desire to bring peace so that cruel scene doesn't repeat itself. Yes, the peace might be broken, but the one who needs to pay the price to regain it is the perpetrator, not the victim. And in this case, the Uchiha clan is the victim, and they do not deserve to be sacrificed because of someone else's whims. I said this time with killing intent radiating from me. Go back and rethink what you are doing, and don't worry about the clan since I made a new plan with Fugaku to try solving it peacefully. Ask him for the details. Itachi looked surprised at this since he knew it was hard to change his father's mind. Yes, it's true. Go back now, I have something to talk about with Mukai, and just say you failed to kill him, I said again before he could reply. And so they both nodded at me and Shursui said, we will talk again at the clan shrine, before he gave one last look at Mukai and left with the still not recovered Itachi. I cited how foolish these kids are and turned to look at Mukai. You are going to let them leave like this without doing anything? Mukai drank a mouthful of wine and said indifferently, the question you need to worry about is if you will leave alive like them or not. I chuckled at him. Of course, I will leave in one piece. Oh, what makes you so sure? Mukai said as his left eye quickly turned colorless and the veins tightened and emerged from under his face. It was the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan. Mukai Kohinata, a member from a family that split off from the Hyuga clan several generations ago. Who would have thought you would still gain to be a Kugan with your diluted bloodline? I said, unbothered by his useless attempt at intimidating me before I continued saying with confidence, as for why you can't kill me, I have deal you can't deny. Seeing that the kid in front of him wasn't intimidated at all by his aura, Mukai sighed while deactivated his Byakugan and said, I am all ears, but if I don't like it you should hope your parents won't miss you since you won't be going back. For some reason I remembered my real parents again making me sigh. Don't worry, they won't, I said, and Mukai seemed surprised at this response and understood its meaning quickly, but didn't say anything and waited for me to continue. I want you to work for me. In exchange, I will make sure nothing happens to your family back in Konoha, including your ill kid, I said seriously. Mukai lost his indifferent expression with his family mentioned because he was really worried about what would happen to them. And how can I believe you can do this? After all, you yourself said that Danzo might use them to draw me into a trap. The same way I can't be sure that you won't betray me. It's a gamble we are both taking, and I have already paid a lot in it by exposing myself to Itachi and Shursui, so make your choice, I said indifferently. Mukai fell deep in thought, but no matter how he thinks about it, this is the only chance he has on protecting his family and ensuring his son's survival. Thinking about his son, he couldn't help but see his image in his head struggling in the hospital with no one to pay the bills for the expensive medicine, and it made his heart ache. I betrayed Konoha for my son. Following this kid is nothing if I can save my family, Mukai thought and made his decision. I accept, but I want to guarantee that you will keep your promise, said seriously. I shook my head and said, I can't give you a guarantee, especially since for now I want you to do some work outside the village. But you can send a clone to check on them whenever you want as long as it doesn't affect your performance. Fine, But if something happens to them, you will be my first target, said Mukai with a terrifying glint in his eyes. Don't worry, I won't break a promise lightly. Now for what I want you to do. First, I want you to find Tsunade Senju. This might even benefit you since she might be capable of curing your son. Second, I want you to make contact with the Sakagami merchant group, I said. Mukai was glad about the first mission since it was one of his goals, but previously he didn't have time between his duties and working as a double agent, so he couldn't go search for her. As for the second mission, he was doubtful, and so he asked, aren't the Sakagami merchant group close to your Uchiha clan? Why do you want to make contact with them like this? I looked at him coldly. You don't need to know the reason. Just escort my clone, and he will deal with everything. Mukai replied, okay, and didn't ask more. As a professional, he knows not to delve too deep in things and just execute. Take this device and use it to contact me if you need anything, and I will do the same, I said, and gave him a device in the shape of an earring made recently by a collaboration between Minato and Kushina. This device was filled with seals and works as a two-way radio. I asked Minato and Kushina to help me make it after I explained to them how frequencies work. The hardest part was to replicate the effect of modulating and demodulating frequencies so they can be sent to long distances, but we were capable of achieving it in the end. We also built devices that work as signal transmitters to widen the range of the communication, and I will leave them to the clone that's going to accompany Mukai to plant them in various hidden places along their travels to build a huge network. Mukai inspected the device for a while for any hidden traps since he still doesn't trust me before he tested it. It was simple to use, just put chakra into it while saying what you want to say, and so he said, does this really works? At the same time, another similar device I was holding started shaking, and after I injected some chakra into it, Mukai's voice came out slightly different, but still clearly audible. Does this really works? Mukai couldn't keep his amazement from showing since if he had this device, he wouldn't need to meet with those Kirinin to relay information, and it would be possible that Konoha will never know about his betrayal. I broke him out of his daze by summoning a shadow clone already knowing what his mission is, so he nodded at Mukai and started leaving with him while I thought about the long 3H trip waiting for me back home. Let's see if you pass this test, Itachi. Will you betray the little trust one put on you, or will you keep what happened today a secret? The way I deal with you will depend on this, I thought. That's right. This is a test to see if it's worth it to invest in Itachi or not. Having a talented person is good, but if he's going to be your enemy, it's better to deal with him before he grows any stronger. Hopefully you and Shursui will use your heads correctly this time and stop acting childish, I thought as I quickly traveled back to Konoha. As I was returning to Konoha, Itachi and Shursui were also going back in the path few minutes ahead of me, and they are currently questioning what I told them. I never thought that a kid could be so scary, Shursui joked with the silent Itachi beside him to lighten the mood as they ran through the plains. Indeed, he hid his abilities very well, and it's weird how he knows a lot of secrets, replied Itachi as he looked directly at Shursui. Shursui sighed. I know what you mean, but I can't tell you right now. Honestly, it's better if you never have to find out. And you were right. If all what he said is true, it seems like we need to rethink our actions. We have been far too naive and trusting in the Hokage. Itachi sadly replied, yes, if everyone works for their benefits and doesn't apply punishment on the people close to them when they do wrong, this village will be ruined even without the conflict with our clan. I wonder if what he said about planning something to bring peace with Fugaka-san and solve the situation in the village is true or not, Shursui said to lift Itachi's mood. And it worked because the haze that was covering Itachi's heart faded a little. I am looking forward to find out. I hope it's true, but either way, it won't change the question that's troubling me. What will we do if the conflict is inevitable? Will we side with the clan or the village? Itachi asked, hoping he will get an answer from his closest friend. Shursui smiled in a reassuring manner and said, if our dream of keeping peace in the village is impossible, we just have to make sure we bring it back when it's lost. After all, together, I believe we can do anything. Itachi kept repeating those words in his mind. If we lose it, just bring it back. And the haze in his heart was completely dispelled, and he smiled brightly at Shursui, thanks. And their journey continued unknown of the undercurrents causing many changes in the village. Back at Konoha, I arrived in front of the Uchiha clan entrance, and I sensed that the surveillance increased all around, making me frown a little. Originally, under the accusations that the Uchiha clan caused the Nine Tails incident, Danzo ordered for all the Uchiha to be grouped at the outskirts of the village to make it easy to keep them under watch, but they only spied on the main entrance of the clan. Now, however, I can feel that the range of their spying increased a lot. As I entered, I can see that most of the faces of the Uchiha ninja and even some civilians weren't looking that well, probably because of what I just noticed, so I went directly to Fugaku's house to ask for the reason while thinking the story is changing. But I didn't find him there. Itachi wasn't here either, probably reporting his failed mission, and even Sasuke wasn't here, so I asked Makoto, the only person available, which I noticed was worried about something concerning me and seemed like she wants to tell me but hesitated. "Makoto-san, where's Fugaku-san and Sasuke?" Makoto heaved a sigh of relief when I gave her something to talk about, so she smiled and said, "It's 3:50 p.m. right now, and there's an urgent clan meeting that will happen at 4 at the Naka Shrine, and Fugaku took Sasuke there with him." Oh, is the situation this bad? I wish I didn't dispel the clone that was with Sasuke and Naruto, I thought. As for Makoto, she seemed to hesitate a little, but she said in the end, "Fugaku wanted to take you to the meeting too, but when he didn't find you, he went ahead with Sasuke alone." "I see, thank you for telling me. Then I will be going there to see what's going on." And I stopped and looked at her with a smile. "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Makoto was dazed a little. Looking at the kid that was trying to comfort her, she felt warm inside her heart, so she squeezed his cheeks and said with a smile, "Make sure to come have dinner with us later." "Sure," I said as I ran away, making her laugh and her heavy heart to lighten a little. As I left the house, my expression froze, and I walked directly in the direction of the shrine, which won't take long. As I arrived there, no one obstructed me, and they seemed to be looking at me with complicated looks in their eyes. Usually, only Jinin and above attend clan meetings. There's no exception, I know of that. This applied to Itachi. Even with all his talent, he was only allowed, forced by Fugaku, to attend after he became a Jinin. So for Sasuke to be brought here means it's something related to him. Was it because of me or Naruto? I thought quickly as I entered the Naka Shrine. The moment I was inside the shrine's main hall, everyone looked at me, including Fugaku and the two people beside him whom I believe are his assistants and high-ranking members of the Uchiha police force. On the left was Yoshiro Uchiha. He was a man with ash-gray hair and squinted eyes, while on the right was seated Inabi Uchiha. He has shoulder-length black hair and dark eyes. I didn't care about these gazes and saw that Sasuke was sitting on the front row, so I directly went and sat beside him, and my frozen face finally melted a little when I saw Sasuke's happy look. "You are finally here," Sasuke said before he got a stern look from Fugaku to shut up. I patted the now sad Sasuke and signaled to him that we will talk later before I turned back to Fugaku, and my face froze again as I simply said, "What happened?" "Kid, who do you think you were talking to?" Yoshiro said, trying to suck up to Fugaku, but it only caused my eyes to turn a shade colder. "Talk to me like this again, and you will lose your head," I said as killing intent started oozing out of my body and my eyes quickly turned into 3 Tomo Sharingan. Of course I wasn't angry, but it's better to establish your position from the start with people like this, or they will keep bullying you the next time they see you, and this guy really deserved to die. Everyone was surprised at my Sharingan but didn't think too much of it since there's another case of someone else awakening it at the age of 5. She was Izumi Uchiha, Itachi's girlfriend, but they were shocked at the amount of killing intent I was releasing. As Yoshiro tried to retort, "What did you dash?" But Fugaku quickly cut him off. "Enough, Yoshiro. You too, Bakorio." I gave that man one last look before my eyes turned back to normal, and I asked Fugaku again a very simple question: "What happened?" I noticed someone in the crowd looking at me curiously, but I didn't look at him. "Sure, Sway is here, huh?" I thought. "I will explain once Itachi comes. I already notified someone to invite him here, and he should be done with reporting his mission," Fugaku said as he looked at me weirdly when he said the last part. "Oh, they told you? That's good." I thought as I gestured for him secretly that I got the message, and just at this moment Itachi entered with the person sent to invite him here. The moment Itachi entered, he quickly noticed me sitting beside Sasuke at the front row, and also noticed the nasty look Yashiro was giving me, causing a frown to appear on his face, but he didn't say anything and simply took a seat at the back. Seeing that everyone was here, Fugaka started speaking with his always stoic face distorted in anger. I am sure a lot of people are wondering why the village increased the surveillance around our compound. He posed for a moment, looking that everyone was at full attention, with most having faces filled with anger, before he continued. As you all know, I recently proposed to the village elders to allow us to accept other clans into the Uchiha police force. This would be beneficial to those clans since this is a prestigious work, and we can mend our relation with the village by getting in close terms with other clans, but those rotten elders directly refused and said that they can't allow such a thing, and made the excuse that it would dishonor the second Hokage because he bestowed the task of protecting the civilians specifically to us. Everyone looked at this in disbelief, since the village isn't willing to trust them one bit, not even give them a chance to prove their innocence. And this hit especially hard at Shursui and Itachi's hearts, because just when they got back they heard about Fugaka's plan to try to mend this broken relationship one last time, yet the village was adamant on rejecting him. Earlier, before I got back, Itachi and Shursui directly went to search for Fugaku and noticed the increased surveillance along the way, causing them to frown, but they ignored it for now. Father. Fugaku looked at him in surprise before he asked him doubtfully, "Who told you this?" Itachi went silent, feeling that it was a lie, but Shursui didn't lose hope quickly and said, "We met Bakorio during Itachi's mission and he told us about it. He also ruined Itachi's mission by saving the traitor for some reason." Fugaka just nodded at the first half of what Shursui said, but looked surprised at what he said in the end. "So Bakorio told you, huh?" "Yes, it's truly suggested that we accept other clans inside our police force and raise our reputation in the village even more through some businesses he created, but..." Fugaku's face turned full of anger, with bloodlust oozing out of his body. "But those elders, including Hiruzen, used every reason they could find and rejected my offer. They even went as far as making a big deal of your brother's friendship with the Jinchuriki and accused us again of attempting to betray the village." Both Itachi and Shursui became angry at this, since they knew that the last chance for the situation to be solved peacefully was crushed by the village before they heard Fugaka continue saying, "They already started taking actions against us by increasing the surveillance around the clan and ordering for the death of any member of our clan that gets close to the Jinchuriki." Fugaka quickly calmed down and said to Itachi seriously, "Itachi, I need you to keep an eye on the village. Go report your mission for now and don't worry about Bakorio, he can be trusted." Itachi said, "Yes," before he turned to leave and heard his friend saying, "I have something to talk to you about, Fugaka-san." Fugaka nodded at him, and they had a private conversation which shocked him. Back at the shrine, Fugaku continued with even more anger. "Never mind this. Some of you might not know this, but Bakorio and Sasuke here both got close to Naruto Uzumaki, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. But just because they became friends with him, the elders didn't like it, and now they accused us of possibly trying to manipulate the Jinchuriki, which is in no way true. But they used it as a reason to attack Bakorio's business, and now they forcefully closed his shop and even the other shops that were about to open are denied permission, and they gave an order that any Uchiha that gets close to the Jinchuriki will be executed." As everyone in the room listened to what Fugaka said, they couldn't help but look at him in disbelief at the absurdity of the elders' views of their clan, which turned to anger at this blatant disrespect, which turned to rage at the treatment they are receiving, which turned to wrath when hearing that even their kids can't escape this cursed life. Everyone in the crowd that unlocked the Sharingan found them activating on their own, and their vision turning red, including Itachi, since now his precious little brother was one of the people mistreated, and a huge commotion broke out. Fugaka looked at everyone's expression. Most people were wrathful and some were even releasing their killing intent wildly. When he saw Itachi's face, he felt glad that his son can finally see the terrible reality of their clan. As the saying goes, only the one burned by the flame will know how painful it is. Fugaku continued observing the crowd before his eyes ended at the kid sitting beside his son Sasuke. Throughout his speech, he kept observing him, and he gave him even more attention after he heard about his weirdness from Itachi and Shursui. True to his expectations, The kid that seemed easily provoked by his subordinate Yashiro didn't show any reaction even though he was greatly implicated, not even activating the Sharingan he showed to possess. Just what are you thinking, Fugaka thought before he gestured for the crowd to be quiet, and continued, Itachi, did the Hokage tell you anything when you met him? Itachi calmed down and stood up from his seat. No, but Danzo ordered me to keep an eye on the clan in case you try to do something. They especially asked me to keep an eye on Bakorio, saying he's the cause of all of this. Different from how Itachi used to be in the original, getting angry at his clan's distrust towards the village. This time, he truly followed Fugaka's orders to work as a double agent for the clan and reported everything the village elders said to him when he went to report his failed mission. Sigh. In the end, I am no different than Mukai. Itachi thought and couldn't help but remember the talented man that only wanted to save his kid. Meanwhile, many people in the crowd who already knew about me getting close to Naruto started whispering with the people that just heard about it. Do you think Fugaka-sama ordered him to approach the Jinchuriki? Uchiha 1 whispered to Uchiha 2 beside him. I don't think so. After all, he's been trying to fix the relationship with the village, not ruin it, Uchiha 2 answered. Everyone in the clan knows we can't approach the Jinchuriki carelessly or it will increase the suspicions around us, Uchiha 3 spoke from behind them. TCH, just because of one kid our situation worsened, he should be punished, Uchiha 4 spoke with an angry face. Slowly the whispers turned into conversation, and these conversations turned into complaints which I could hear very clearly without relying on my superior senses. Enough! If it was a kid from another clan that approached the Jinchuriki, nothing like this would have happened. They keep humiliating our Uchiha clan, and they won't even give us a chance to prove we are innocent. Today the Uchiha won't bow their heads to their tyranny anymore, Fugaku said with some anger before he yelled, Who's with me? Everyone cheered as a sea of red eyes lit up the dim shrine, with only Shursui and Itachi having sad faces. Good, replied Fugaku, calming everyone down. Today we will start preparing for a coup d'etat. Anyone disagrees? And no, a united yell echoed before two voices said at the same time, Yes, Fugaka-san/father. They belonged to Itachi and Shursui, causing everyone to look at them in anger. Shursui quickly stepped beside Itachi, and the latter quickly said, Father, please reconsider. If we start a revolution, many innocent lives will be lost, and Shursui nodded in agreement, showing his support. But Fugaku calmly shook his head. I am not planning to harm the civilians, but the situation is simply beyond solving at this moment. Either we fight, or they will come asking for our lives next. Budash, Itachi tried to say, but Fugaku cut him off. Enough, Itachi, just do your job and relay any information you hear from the elders, causing Itachi to clench his fists and nod reluctantly. Sasuke looked at his father and brother arguing and felt scared at how the situation escalated. Not knowing what to do, he looked at me. I patted his head and said, Don't worry, before I locked eyes with Fugaku and said, Fugaka-san, I wouldn't mind it if this was 100% your idea, but unfortunately, a little bird kept telling me that someone is pushing you a lot in this direction because he's afraid to bear the responsibility for it himself. Fugaku was perplexed, but I quickly turned to the man that likes to scream a lot. Yashiro, care to explain why you keep suggesting a coup d'etat every time and never going for a bloodless solution? The man in question looked at me in shock because this is something only his Captain Fugaku and the other high-ranking officials knows. Let's see how close you are with your masked friend, I thought as I looked coldly at Yashiro. Yashiro became shocked when he saw the huge responsibility of the clan rebelling being tied to him, which was true since he always tries to manipulate Fugaku to initiate a rebellion. Since Fugaku was present, he can't lie, so he quickly said, full of courage and pride, My heart is burning from all the suffering our clan is going through. That's why I rather die than live in humiliation like this, so I suggested we rebel. Many people in the crowd nodded at his words because they felt the same thing, but what they didn't know is Yashiro is probably the biggest coward in the Uchiha clan and maybe the entirety of Konoha. This was such a coward to the point that when Itachi in the original story started the Uchiha massacre, he killed Yashiro's wife and kids in front of him. Yet Yashiro only fled to save his life and left them behind. And when Itachi caught up to him, he revealed that his masked friend will get revenge for him, but was disappointed when Itachi told him that his masked friend was helping him in the massacre. Indeed, that masked man was Obito Uchiha. He manipulated Yashiro, which in turn manipulated Fugaku and the rest of the clan to start the coup d'etat. When Yashiro understood that he was betrayed, he started begging Itachi to leave him alive, promising that he will end the rebellion, but he only got his head severed by Itachi as an answer, causing to meet his end. Now this coward is speaking with a face full of pride and courage, almost making puke at the level of hypocrisy. So I quickly said, "I see. How noble of you. How about you explain to us then about the masked man that promised you with his help and gave you the intel you used to entice Fugaku to make this decision?" This time Yashiro wasn't shocked but horrified instead when he heard the kid revealing his involvement with the masked man. How does he know about my relation with the masked man? I am sure we left no traces of our meetings with that man's weird teleporting ability, Yashiro thought as his fear increased when he saw everyone looking at him, especially Itachi. Itachi, getting used to Bakorio's weird information, didn't like the mention of a masked man, so he asked, "Bakorio, what do you mean by a masked man?" I pretended to be surprised at his question and said, "Oh, I forgot you met him before, but your guess is correct. It's the same man that caused you to awaken your Sharingans." Itachi, hearing this, started looking at Yashiro like a hawk stalking its prey. The nervous Yashiro quickly regained his cool, but his weird reaction didn't go unnoticed by many people, including Fugaku, Shursui, Inabi, and Tekka. Tekka had shoulder-length, dull black hair and dark eyes, and also had a dot in the center of his forehead, and he was considered the strongest Uchiha after Fugaku, considering Shursui doesn't use his Mangekyo Sharingan. As Yashiro calmed down, he said with anger, "I don't know what you were talking about." "Oh really?" I couldn't help but smile before I called out someone, a Shursui. "Yes," Shursui replied while looking at me curiously. "Go with Yashiro and Fugaku-san and confirm if what I said is true or not, please. It's important," I said. Okay, seeing that my goal is stop the coup d'etat, Shursui gladly agreed and didn't doubt that I understood what his secret is anymore. Fugaku also didn't question this decision after he saw Yasir's reaction and understanding what Shursui's ability is after they had their conversation earlier, so he ordered with a cold look, "Yashiro, Shursui, follow me to the adjacent room." No one liked to be manipulated, so Fugaku was really angry and gave Yashiro a look that he wasn't accepting no as an answer, and so they quickly entered a room on their own where Shursui's Kodo Amatsukami will do its magic. Meanwhile, the rest of the crowd was agitated at this sequence of events, finding the situation weird, but Tekka stepped up and said, "I am sure the captain knows what he's doing, trust him," while giving me a weird look, and they calmed down because they respected him. I felt an intense gaze on my back, and I found that it was Itachi giving me grateful look for helping solve this mess, and I nodded at him with a smile, while thinking, how should I solve this mess? Just a few minutes after, Fugaku and Shursui returned with dark looks on their faces and an unconscious Yashiro, probably still under the effect of Kodo Amatsukami. Fugaku quickly returned to his position and bowed to everyone, shocking them. "Everyone, I am sorry. As your leader, I allowed someone with ulterior motives manipulate me." But they quickly tried to deny it and said that he was an amazing leader and doesn't need to apologize since he always thinks about what's best for the clan. Only then did Fugaku rise from his bow and looked straight at me. "Bakorio, thank you for finding out about Yashiro's involvement with this masked man, but even he didn't know much about him and his motive. If you know anything about it, please explain it to us," Fugaku said. "That's a very dangerous man," I said to him. "After all, he single-handedly caused the Nine Tails incident and the death of the fourth Hokage and his wife." Everyone was shocked at this information before I continued with a heartless smile, sending shivers down everyone's spine. "Do you think he cares about helping our clan?" Looking at everyone's shocked faces, I couldn't help but shake my head at how emotional the Uchiha are. even though they hide it behind a cold facade most of the time. Impossible. Are you saying that the incident 5 years ago was man-made and the one behind it tried to manipulate Yashiro? Fugaku said in both shock and anger. A terrible anger that started building inside his chest the moment the council rejected his good intentions. Then his anger increased even more once he knew how Yashiro was trying to manipulate him, not knowing that he himself was merely a puppet. This is the truth. I don't know much about this masked man, but I know that we shouldn't involve ourselves with him too much, I said, before I continued. Fugaku-san, I know you are angry, but even if we get our hands on the Nine Tails, it still won't be enough to deal with Village, and we will only sacrifice many people pointlessly. Fugaku sighed and said, I know this, but we have no other choice. We can relocate outside the village, I said, causing Fugaku to shake his head along with everyone else. If we leave the village, we will become the target of all the other villages, the same way the Uzumaki clan was targeted, and even Konoha might target us and won't just sit on the sidelines the way they did to the Uzumaki clan. Not to mention we originated from this shrine. We can't leave our home just like that. I thought for a little before I said, I have a plan. Inside the Hokage Tower, the various clan heads were having an urgent meeting issued by Fugaku Uchiha. They were sitting in a long table at the head of which was sitting the third Hokage, and close to him were the old fossils Danzo, Hamuramito Kato, and Koryudatane, along with the rest of the heads of the different clans. Everyone was currently looking at the kid standing behind Fugaku with a friendly smile on his face, nodding at people from time to time when he catch them looking at him. Of course that kid was me, and as everyone sat down we heard Danzo say with his usual cold voice and darkness in his eyes, the meaning of this meeting, Fugaku. Fugaku looked at him coldly with no more pretenses because he was really ready to kill him right here right now, but a small hand holding his shirt calmed him down. His time will come very soon, thought Fugaku while looking at Danzo. Indeed, he was really angry when Bakorio told him that under all those bandages on Danzo's hand, and I were Sharingans from his clan, but currently he only has 2 in his hand because the Uchiha massacre didn't happen yet, but he's pushing for it real hard. Didn't you just accuse my clan of trying to manipulate the Jinchuriki using Bakorio here behind me? Well, I came to prove our innocence once and for all since I can, Fugaku said coldly while looking at the Hokage and the 3 council members beside him. Humph, Danzo snorted and continued. We don't need proof. We can already see the hatred in your eyes towards the village. Many people frowned at how Danzo isn't even trying to give Fugaku a chance, but this time Fugaku wasn't going to step down even if war starts, and they were ready for that possibility too. Hiruzen, are you going to listen to what the Uchiha clan has to say, or you will just keep accusing us however you see fit, and we can't even feel anger for it? Show some respect, Fugaku. The only women from the council, Koharu, snarled at Fugaku for calling the Hokage by his name directly. Shut your mouth, said Fugaku as his killing intent erupted at her, causing her to shake on fear. This is Wicked-Eye Fugaku, everyone thought. In awe of his aura, us many Umbu surrounded us. Enough Danzo, Koharu. You too, Fugaku, calm down. I understand your frustrations. If the Uchiha really have proof like you said, we will gladly hear it. As Fugaku retracted his killing intent, and the Umbu retreated, leaving only Danzo and Koharu glaring at him. It's simple, bring Naruto here, Fugaku said. Humph, you think we will allow you near the Jinchuriki? Said Danzo. I didn't talk to you, I am talking to Hiruzen. Or did you become the Hokage without everyone here knowing? Fugaku retorted. Danzo was angry because Fugaku really hit his soft spot, since because he couldn't become the Hokage, he always tried to act as one dash. But Hiruzen raised his hand and cut him off, causing his anger to raise, but it wasn't apparent on his face, but his eyes were different as the darkness inside of them became deeper. Will you really be able to prove your innocence if we bring Naruto here? Said Hiruzen seriously. Yes, said Fugaku, and Hiruzen quickly ordered Kakashi to bring Naruto over. Fugaku crossed his hands and closed his eyes and waited for the scene that's about to happen, which he still felt doubtful about, but still decided to trust the mysterious kid. Very quickly Naruto was brought in, and we felt the guard around us increased, and Danzo said mockingly, "Prove your innocence now." This time Fugaka didn't speak, but I did. "Yo, Naruto, how have you been?" When Naruto noticed me in the room, he quickly tried to come towards me, but an Umbu member held him back. No matter how much he struggled, he wasn't released, so I said with a confident smile, "Naruto, calm down. We will talk later." Naruto nodded, believing what I said, but the people in the room thought otherwise, but I didn't care. I finally looked at the council members. This time, with only coldness in my face different with my previous friendly smile, and said, "Hokage, you asked us for proof of our innocence while you didn't provide any behind your accusations. You said I tried to manipulate Naruto. Go enter his seal space. You will understand a lot. You aren't allowed to leak this information in front of the Jinchuriki." Danzo yelled, but I didn't even glance at him and only looked at Hiruzen. What cold eyes Hiruzen thought before he heard, "Quickly check it. You will get your answers." "Fine," said Hiruzen as he got close to Naruto and poured some chakra into the seal, and when he did he was shocked at the scene in front of him and felt terrible guilt. He saw a very familiar couple looking at him with disappointed looks clearly visible even with the dim lights in this seal space. The woman had bright red long hair and violet eyes while the man has spiky blonde hair and ocean blue eyes. How's this possible? Why are they here? Hiruzen thought in a daze, but a voice quickly broke him out of it. It was the melancholic voice of his successor, the man that sacrificed himself and his family for the village, and the same man he betrayed the trust of and didn't follow his last wish uttered with his dying breath. "Minato," Hiruzen said, feeling an unknown fear and guilt, and Minato responded, "It's been a while, Hiruzen. I never thought we would meet again like this." This would have been a very happy reunion if Hiruzen didn't break his promise, and from the disappointed look on Minato's and Kushina's faces, he understood that they have a good idea of the current situation. "It's been a while indeed, Minato," Kushina said Hiruzen with his BS regretful sigh, and continued, "How are you still alive like this, and why didn't you contact me?" "What? You shameless old man, you rather want us dead? And you even want us to contact you after the way you and the village treated Naruto," replied Kushina with anger plastered on her face, while Minato kept the same disappointed look. Hiruzen sighed, feeling the guilt in his heart increasing, but he suppressed it and said, "I understand your frustrations with me, but first I need to know the situation." Kushina was about to yell again, but Minato held her back and said, "I sealed a small portion of chakra from Kushina and me inside of Naruto to help deal with Kurama in the future and see how Naruto grew up, even if it's only for a few moments. Yet, Bakorio-kun helped us restore our chakra and even souls, and now we can accompany Naruto all the time. So the accusations against the Uchiha are pointless. You should be thanking him instead, if you still consider me the fourth Hokage." Hiruzen was shocked and then happy at having the fourth back, because even if he can't help physically, with his ideas he can still be of great help to the village, and Kushina too with her great sealing knowledge. But then he felt disappointed in himself at how the first thing he thought of was using them, and he remembered how he listened to Danzo and the council causing him to feel shame. After all the situation was clear, Bakorio gave them 2 perfect guardians and trainers for the Jinchuriki, and no one can manipulate him with them here. Hiruzen sighed again before he heard Minato continue saying the Uchiha clan wasn't responsible for the incident 5 years ago either. It was a masked man, and seeing how someone was capable of destroying the special barriers we made on the birth site means someone from the higher-ups of the village helped him. Who do you think it was, Hiruzen? Impossible, don't tell me. No, he wouldn't dare H-. He dared. After all, he and his roots Umbu didn't help when the attack happened. Instead, they went to keep the Uchiha from helping to make sure I have no way but to sacrifice myself. As for the barrier and the location of the birth site, you should know that they were clearly selected and they are impossible to break easily, so I'm pretty sure he leaked at least the location of the birth site. As for why he would do this, you know his intentions clearly. After all, right after, he sent a team to assassinate you in your diplomatic mission with the village hidden in the sand Suna. Hiruzen turned pale at his foolishness for letting all these go by unpunished. Leave for now, but Bakorio-kun still have more things to tell you, and bear in mind, This is your last chance to correct your mistakes. There's more. Hiruzen was shocked before he turned angry and directly left the seal. Meanwhile, outside the seal, everyone kept looking at Hiruzen's changing face, from happy to sad to regret to disappointment, and finally anger as he opened his eyes and said the Uchiha clan is innocent, and they did a huge service to the village this time. Before he started talking about his meeting with Minato, and what they talked about, including the incident 5 years ago, shocking everyone. Impossible, this must be a trick, Danzo said in denial. Shut up, Danzo. As of now, you are under arrest. The moment Hiruzen finished saying this, a group of Umbu surrounded Danzo. Bakorio-kun, Minato said you have something more to say, please go ahead, Hiruzen said, fearing for what's coming. Indeed I do. I'm sure everyone here wonders why Danzo is so adamant on targeting our clan, even though it would have helped him better if he got close to use and gain our support to become Hokage, I said, and everyone nodded since it was weird. The reason is this, I said as I pointed at my eyes now turning red with 3 tomo inside. Everyone was shocked before Shikaka Nara, Konoha's Jonin commander, spoke, but why would he go so far just for your clan's Sharingan? And Danzo started feeling that something bad is going to happen. Good question. The answer is an ability our eyes has that's not that well known even to our clan members. This ability is called Izanagi. It allows the user to distort reality at the price of the eye turning blind and never recovering even if you replace it. So for example, you can sacrifice one eye to escape death from a fatal injury. That's why Danzo is after them, to save his worthless life when in danger, I said while watching the shock in everyone's eyes increasing. But it wasn't surprising because this ability is truly abnormal. As for Danzo, he couldn't hold back and said, absurd, all I did was for the well-being of Konoha and its PEO dash. I directly cut his BS. Really? Is that why you helped Orochimaru in his human experiments while researching Hashirama's cells using people from the village as guinea pigs? It was like a bomb dropping inside the meeting room as everyone stood up and looked at Danzo with a dangerous look, including Hiruzen, who said, is this true, Danzo? Danzo knew that he was getting cornered, so he said, I am not going to sit here and listen to a toddler lecturing me, as he tried to leave, but Fugaka stepped on his way and said, you won't be leaving today. What's the meaning of this, Fugaku? Are you rebelling against the village? Danzo said in anger, but he was ignored, and I said with a smile, everyone, I have proof of what I said. Danzo, unveil your right eye and hand to everyone. I am sure you can do such a simple thing to prove your innocence, right? I gestured to Hayashi secretly. Indeed, Danzo. Please prove your innocence so we can put our hearts to peace, Hayashi said. The people present were surprised at the Hyuga helping the Uchiha, but they thought that it was because they also have eyes people covet. Many people announced their support after this ending, with the angry Hiruzen saying, Danzo, unveil your right eye and hand right now. Throughout all this, Danzo was unresponsive and a weird calm lingered around him, the calm before the storm, because he suddenly said attack, as many root members attacked everyone present while he himself exhaled some air and launched a compressed air blade right at me before he tried to escape. He sent this air blade to distract Fugaku and force him to defend me, but to his surprise, Fugaku decided to ignore the attack, rushing towards the kid, and he directly attacked Danzo. As for his compressed air blade, he saw the kid dodge it without even breaking a sweat, and Danzo understood that his situation is really bad. As everyone was listening to Hiruzen asking Danzo to unveil his eye and arm and prove his innocence, I was keeping an eye on Danzo because I sensed something wrong with his silence. Danzo, like any other being when cornered, finally decided to bite back. I noticed how he looked deeply at Fugaku, still intercepting his way, and next thing you know, he took a deep breath, which seemed like he wanted to say something, but to everyone's surprise, he issued an attack order to his root Umbu. At the same time, he exhaled, and I saw an air blade heading my way, and I instantly understood that he was aiming to use me to distract Fugaku, but it wasn't going to work because I easily sidestepped out of the way of the very fast air blade. Unfortunately for the man behind me, his fate wasn't as nice as mine. He looked very different than everyone else. His eyes were obscured by dark glasses which feature a single tassel hanging down from one side. He has very spiky short black hair and a mustache, and he was sitting with his hands in the pockets of the white high-collared outfit he was wearing. This was Shibi Aburame, a Jonin and the head of Konoha's Aburame clan. Shibi didn't have enough time to react properly. He barely tilted his body and instructed the special insects he keeps inside of him to block the attack and absorb the chakra from the air blade to lessen the damage as much as possible. Even though he was able to weaken the air blade, it wasn't enough to stop it completely, and he ended up losing his left arm before the now much weakened attack was stopped by another Jonin behind him. This was the power of the Shimura Danzo that still retained some of his youth. A fully fledged Kage-level ninja. And now this same ninja was being evenly matched, and even suppressed a little by a red-eyed man. It was Wicked Eye Fugaku. Even without using his Mangekyo Sharingan, he was still very strong, deserving of his nickname and position as the Uchiha clan head. The meeting room was wrecked, and before long, Fugaku dodged one of Danzo's punches and retaliated with a kunai stab to throat at the now unbalanced Danzo. Yet Danzo easily dodged it by blowing air out of his mouth, causing Fugaku to miss, and he retreaded the air pressure to retreat. But before he could react, Hiruzen quickly did some hand seals, causing a pillar of earth to appear from the ground beside Danzo's leg, and it connected with his side, sending him out of the Hokage Tower with Hiruzen and Fugaku following after him. As for the root members, they were quickly being apprehended by the collaboration of the clan heads and the Umbu that guards the Hokage Tower, excluding the injured Shibi Aburame. Meanwhile, I also followed after Danzo, and when Hiachi noticed this, he decided to follow to protect me just in case, and he did just that because the moment I jumped out of the tower, a root member that was hiding tried to ambush me but was intercepted by Hayashi using the 8 trigrams vacuum palm, sending a compressed chakra attack, blowing the root member away while sealing some of his chakra channels. I simply continued without even looking at the root member from start to finish, which perplexed Hayashi, but he simply followed while thinking, did he allow himself to be ambushed just to test me? Or does he trust me that much? But no one answered his doubts. Meanwhile, in the battle between Fugaku, Hiruzen, and Danzo, Hiruzen summoned a monkey named Inma that turned into a round black staff with gold edges, his famous weapon. While he did this, Fugaku quickly weaved some hand seals before he sent a huge fire dragon at Danzo. Danzo quickly jumped out of the way, but he quickly saw that Hiruzen's staff is expanding and is about to hit him, while Fugaku was also running his way, so he dodged the staff and quickly took out a shuriken, which he breathed into coating it with very sharp wind chakra, almost like Naruto's Raisen Shuriken Jutsu, and threw it at Fugaku. Just as he was doing this, Fugaku appeared from under him and slashed his right leg off before Danzo could retreat. Indeed, the Fugaku rushing at him was only a shadow clone and was dispelled after it was hit by his wind-imbued shuriken. At the same time, Hiruzen used his mud style to trap Danzo as Fugaku jumped away from his retaliation, and while mid-air he started preparing another huge fire dragon jutsu. Danzo, seeing this, quickly summoned a giant elephantine chimera, large enough to dwarf the fire dragon Fugaku previously released. It is predominantly dark orange in color with the exception of its trunk, legs, and the markings around its eyes. Its feet are striped, reminiscent of those of a tiger, and it also has huge tusks, what looks like a beard, as well as long, sharp claws. It has bandages wrapped around its head and plated armor at the base of its trunk. This was Danzo's personal summon, and it quickly used its ability, opening its mouth and inhaling, creating a powerful suction force that inhales everything within a large radius of itself and immobilizing people around it. And so Hiruzen's mud jutsu failed, and he himself was immobilized by the suction force, but Fugaku's fire dragon attack quickly arrived, and unfortunately for this summon named Baku, it was its weakness, and just like that, the moment it inhaled the fire, it was heavily injured, and the suction force disappeared along with the summon in a puff of smoke. At this moment, I arrived with Hayashi, and it sealed Danzo's fate because now there was no escape for him. Very quickly, with Hayashi at short range with his gentle fist and other Hyuga jutsu, Fugaku at mid-range with his ninjutsu and jinjutsu, and Hiruzen at long range with his Inma staff that could expand in ninjutsu. Danzo suffered a miserable defeat, and he made his biggest mistake. He overlooked my presence, the presence of a kid, a being even the careful and cunning Danzo didn't think it was dangerous because of how stressful his current fight is. Yet after he deflected a kunai Fugaku sent at him, this same kunai still in the air behind him transformed into the kid he overlooked, and without wasting any time slashed his now unveiled pale white right arm with 2 eyes embedded in it and grabbed it while retreating away. Danzo was shocked, but before he could react, Fugaku already stabbed him in the head. And yet this Danzo simply faded away, and he reappeared a small distance away from us intact, with the only difference being one of the two eyes on the pale hand slowly closed. TCH, even if you cut his hand away, he can still use it, huh? I thought as I watched how Danzo was looking at me cautiously this time, without letting his guard at all. While the trio of Fugaku, Hayashi, and Hiruzen looked shocked because even though Fugaku knows about the Izanagi from the Uchiha stone tablet inside the Naka shrine, he never saw it being used. Well, you have 2 more resurrections left. Let's get it over with, I said, and the trio quickly got out of their daze and started attacking again, while this time I helped them even more with either ninjutsu or strategies like the previous one, but a desperate beast won't go down alone. Seeing the desperate situation his friend Danzo was in, Hiruzen started to get soft-hearted and said, "Danzo, surrender now and accept your judgment." "And what is this judgment you speak of?" I said. Hiruzen looked troubled and said, "Danzo is a very good asset to the village. We can imprison him and use him when needed." The battlefield turned dead silent, with everyone looking at Hiruzen with stupefied faces, including Danzo. What a useless Hokage, they thought as they felt disappointed, and even the people close by in the Hokage Tower and the street felt the same. Hayashi-san, Fugaku-san, I suggest both the Uchiha and Hyuga leave the village if it's still ruled by this incompetent person. What do you two think? I said with a serious face. A fast reply to my question followed, but not from Hayashi and Fugaku, but from Hiruzen. "Kid, what are you saying? Are you trying to cause the fall of the village?" "No, I am leaving that for you to do. And you already did. Now shut up and deal with this guy in front of us. Or are you buying him time to think of a plan?" I had a suspicious look, and I really felt like it's possible. "You dash." Hiruzen felt frustrated with a kid telling him to shut up, but he knew it was his fault. He's just acting selfish to spare his friend, uncaring of others' feelings or what harm he will cause. What a great Hokage he is. "Enough Bakorio, we need to focus on dealing with Danzo," said Fugaku with a disappointed look on his face while looking at Hiruzen. The same look was on Hayashi's face, and it reminded Hiruzen of Minato's and Kushina's faces that he just saw, causing him to feel that guilt again and focus properly on dealing with Danzo. "We will talk about what the kid said later. Get into formation," Hiruzen said, and so they started attacking Danzo the same way as before, but this time something was different. Danzo indeed formulated a plan during this pause. Usually the moment Hayashi attacks Danzo with his gentle fist, Danzo will either retreat or counter it with his own taijutsu or attack back with sharp wind blades and bullets. This time, however, as Hayashi attacked and was expecting Danzo to dodge like usual, he saw that his fist connected with Danzo's right shoulder, but at the same time Danzo hit him back with his left hand and sent him flying away. As Hayashi was sent away, Fugaku took the opportunity with Danzo's right arm currently immobilized thanks to the effect of the gentle fist and attacked from that direction, while Hiruzen created a distraction with his staff by attacking from the left. Danzo leaned back and evaded the staff, but he saw 2 shining red eyes from his right peripheral vision, so he tried to jump away, but a dart flashed past and his right arm started flying in the air while rotating slowly. All of this happened instantly. From Hayashi's attack to Hiruzen's distraction to Fugaku taking advantage of the unexpected situation, their teamwork was almost perfect. This is experience. Even if they never fought together before, they quickly knew how to get the best out of the situation, I thought as I looked at the events unfolding. Danzo quickly followed by inhaling deeply and sent a sharp airwave that seemed to target Fugaku, but he quickly changed the direction of the attack, with the target being the now standing Hayashi, and I instantly understood that something was bad. Hayashi was both surprised and fearful because he found out he can't move his body as dark seals started appearing around his body and expanding towards his face, and both Fugaku and Hiruzen were away from him. Was it when he sent me away, thought Hayashi as he felt his fear growing, looking at the very sharp wave getting closer and closer to him, and knew he couldn't free himself in time. Is this the end, thought Hayashi for one last time. Or so he though, because a kid with terrifying reaction speed and reflexes quickly took out a huge shield that covered his whole body and jumped in front of him, causing Hayashi's eyes to widen in shock. SCRESH. A weird sound of something trying to cut metal was heard as that airwave connected with the kid's huge shield, causing sparks to start flying everywhere and pushing the kid along with the person he was protecting back. Unfortunately, that shield didn't hold for long and split in half, but it served its purpose, weakening the airwave. So next, the kid took out a double-edged short sword and held it with both hands from the hilt and tip horizontally in front of him, intercepting the airwave again. This time he was pushed back, but there was no sparks, and after going through many houses, leaving them split in half and destroyed, he finally stopped, and his appearance looked really bad. Clothes tattered, body drained, legs injured, and fingers broken. This is what happens when a Chunin-level body blocks a Kage-level attack, and he was lucky having such hard swords that didn't break easily. Thank God I got that shield while training the past week, but this is really bad, I thought as I looked at the man that was sent away with me. Hayashi shot me a grateful look before he focused all his attention on his chakra and quickly sent it out of his body from all of his 361 chakra nodes, an ability unique to the Hyuga clan, finally dispelling the curse seal, and regained his body movement again and quickly said, "Are you okay, Bakorio?" "Yes, don't worry about me. Quickly go help them, and be careful next time. That Danzo is very sneaky," I said with a calm face, so he believes I was fine. "Okay, I will be back soon," said Hayashi before he quickly rushed towards Danzo, but what he saw was way out of his expectations. The usually calm Fugaku was very angry, and his normal Sharingans changed to Mangekyo Sharingans, and he was easily thrashing him left and right with very fast movement. Something is not right, thought Hayashi as he saw how Fugaku's speed wasn't because of moving his body. He saw him take a normal step, and he would appear right in front of Danzo. No, he's not moving fast, he's shrinking space. Hayashi was shocked before he looked deeply at Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingans. Is it from the change of his eyes? As he was thinking, Fugaku flashed by Danzo, and his head was separated from his body. By now the people that were inside the Hokage Tower started arriving, and they looked speechless at this one-sided battle. This is the power of the Uchiha. They thought as I also arrived back at the fight scene thanks to a shadow clone carrying me on its back, and quickly yelled, "Fugaku-san, calm down." After all, if he continues like this, yes, he can deal with Danzo easily, but he will pay a price. His eyesight, and he indeed calmed down when he saw me alive and deactivated his Mangekyo, while the fight with Danzo quickly reached its end with the help of the rest of the Jonin. Surrounded by more than 10 Jonin, and even a few elite Jonin and Kage-level ninja, Danzo's fate was sealed. Slowly the last Sharingan in his right eye closed, and along with his exhausted chakra reserves, Danzo couldn't resist the combined assault anymore and was captured in the end. Ironically, the man that liked to put seals on people and control them was now under a seal and can't move his body at all. Finally, everyone heaved a sigh of relief, but the consequences from this incident are far from over. This was just the beginning. Hiruzen looked at his sealed friend with a sad face before he looked at Hayashi, Fugaku, and then me. "Everyone that knows medical ninjutsu, please help the injured ninja and citizens, starting by those in critical condition." Just as Hiruzen said this, the Jonin commander Shikake Nara said, "Hokage-sama, the citizens didn't suffer any injuries thanks to the timely intervention of the Uchiha police force. As for our ninja, other than the head of the Aburame clan, there's no serious injuries." To the surprise of everyone, such a scary event that happened in the heart of the village with Kage-level ninja fighting didn't result in any casualties, but only one person heavily injured. Hiruzen, along with some other perceptive people like the council and Shikako, had complicated looks while looking at Fugaku, remembering the power he showcased and the obvious planning behind all of this. Hiruzen let out a sigh, knowing that diverting the attention to the injured people won't work, so in the end he said, "Good to hear. Konoha's Uchiha police force did a really good job," emphasizing the Konoha part before he continued. "We will hold an urgent meeting. Other than the heavily injured, everyone's required to attend. Please follow me." As Hiruzen turned back to the slightly damaged Hokage Tower with a complicated look, the other ninja gave one last look at Fugaku that contains both fear and respect before they followed after Hiruzen. As for me, I was sitting on the floor with Fugaku and Hayashi looking at me with worried faces as a skilled medical ninja was trying to assess my injuries. And without hesitation, he started casting an anesthetic jutsu when he saw just how many broken bones I had, especially in my hands, which lessened the terrible pain I was going through since I've been gritting my teeth for a while now. Next, the medical ninja said to Fugaku, "We need to take the kid to the hospital to treat his broken bones. I don't have the proper tools to treat him here." Before Fugaku could reply, Hayashi was already saying, "Please take care of him. I will also send a Hyuga medical nin to not miss any hidden injuries." Fugaku looked at Hayashi and thought, "What the hell? When did this arrogant bastard turn so nice?" But didn't say anything since this is for the good of Bakorio, and decided to send Itachi to take care of him since he was still nearby helping the citizens. I didn't reply because the anesthetic really got me dizzy, so my clone replied, "Thank you, Hayashi-san. You guys should go. I will send a clone to accompany you to the meeting," and created another clone because I really want to attend that meeting. Saying our goodbye, I thought, finally the plan to deal with these mummified flies is about to end. Indeed, the target of the plan from the start was the whole council, not just Danzo. And everything was agreed upon from the start, from how Naruto acted friendly towards me in front of everyone, to what information Minato revealed to Hiruzen saying I was just helping them and Naruto but never mentioned that I was also planning on freeing Kurama or reviving them, and for this I just used the same device I gave to Mukai since Naruto also has one on him. Next, knowing that all of this was going to make a mess, we decided to kill two birds with one stone and leave the protection of the people to the police force under the leadership of both Inabi and Tekka along with Shursui and Itachi to satisfy their obsession and craving for peace and letting them gain it deeper, understanding that a well-planned risky situation can become very safe, and the results are clear, no casualties. I also told Fugaku about my friendship with Hayashi, which shocked him to no end since the Hyuga and the Uchiha never met eye-to-eye and there was always conflict between them, but no more very soon. Only rivalry at best, and Hayashi did his job on the previous meeting by showing his support to corner Danzo. As I was taken to the Konoha hospital, two skilled medical ninjas started quickly treating my injuries, one of them being the Hyuga that Hayashi promised, and they were surprised at how much pain the kid can handle. When they were done, two dark-haired teenagers visited me. One's hair was long while the other was short and unkempt, and of course they are Itachi and Shursui. I had my guard up a little when I saw the uninvited Shursui since I am still wary of his Mangekyo Sharingan, but for now I trust one can react if I see the slightest change in his eyes, and in the future, I will make sure to learn from Mukai how to program one's body to automatically follow a certain command or action when under special situations like genjutsu. This is the same thing Danzo used against Shursui in the canon, but instead of killing himself like Mukai, his command was to activate Izanagi, allowing him to escape the effect of Kodo Amatsukami. As for me, I will use my command to issue a load command. Itachi and Shursui looked at my broken hands and legs in worry and said, "Are you okay, Bakorio?" "Obviously not. Cough cough," I said as I coughed a little because of my recently fixed broken ribs, causing Itachi to say, "Don't talk if you find it hard." "Don't worry. How's the meeting going?" I asked after all my treatment took a while to finish. This time Shursui replied, "We don't know since it's not over yet, but hopefully it goes as planned," before he bowed to me with Itachi showing no surprise but mimicked his action and said, "I am sorry we were blinded by our own confusion, causing a kid from our clan to bear these responsibilities and sacrifice a lot, while the answer was very simple, just side with the wrong party. The fact we thought that the clan was one side and the village another meant we already regarded the clan as an enemy of the village, while in truth the enemy of the village was ruling it from the dark, and we let that darkness blind us from the correct path." "Stop and raise your head," I ordered with a cold face. "You need to apologize to the whole clan, not just me, but especially to Fugaku-sen, since he had to carry this responsibility for years and years while you two ignorantly painted his actions as a man with no care for the village and only made it harder for him." Before I deeply looked at Shursui. "After all, I am sure if you revealed your power, you would have also told the useless council about it, causing any plans he can do with it to go down the drain. TCH, just learn from this and grow up." Feeling ashamed, both decided to apologize properly later. Meanwhile, at the meeting, while Bakorio's real body was getting treated inside Konoha's hospital, the clone that accompanied Fugaku and Hayashi to the meeting was coldly observing the council members and the politics they want to play. I am sorry, everyone. I was really incompetent as a ninja and a leader and ended up causing the current situation, said Hiruzen with a sad face. And someone in the crowd quickly said, Hokage-sama, it's not your fault. No one thought Danzo would go that far. So Hiruzen starts by playing the sad card to gain some sympathy, and one of his supporters quickly interjects by shifting the blame from him and the council to Danzo alone. Tisich, I really just want to kill all of them. I thought as I signaled to Fugaku secretly to start his... Fugaku snorted and said in anger, not his fault. He's the Hokage. He approved of every decision Danzo made and even granted him too much power by letting him create his own Umbu. Umbu. Division, and you say it's not his fault? Indeed, it's the fault of all the council members. Most people in the crowd were already disappointed in the Hokage, so they agreed with Fugaku and nodded their heads. His show of power helped since if it was before they would still hesitate to side with him. Add to that the Hyuga taking the lead and supporting the Uchiha. Their decision wasn't that difficult. Hearing what Fugaku said and seeing the people agreeing with him, Hiruzen thought, it seems we won't be able to defuse the situation. Let's at least try to maintain the position of the council, and said, indeed, I trusted Danzo a lot, and we ended in this position because of it, especially the Uchiha clan. They suffered a lot from this. That's why I hope to get them away from the outskirts of the village back to the center so they can do their job better in protecting the civilians like everyone saw today, resulting in a miracle of 0 casualties. I laughed so hard inside my head that my mouth started twitching and my cold facial expression almost broke. He truly think that tempting Fugaku with this will solve everything. Indeed, the Uchiha always wanted to go back to the center of the village, but it lost its meaning now, you old fool. Oh wait, he's probably younger than me, never mind, I thought. Fugaku felt the same and wasn't moved at all by this offer. The Uchiha clan doesn't care about going to the village center. We want the people behind our suffering to be punished and replaced by competent people. This requires the immediate execution of Danzo, and you 3 leaving your power. This time Fugaku looked at them coldly and said, this village doesn't need a Hokage without power the way you did with the 4th. Hamura, the man that wears glasses, slapped the table and said, how dare you refuse us when we gave you what you always wanted, and you even want to remove us from power? It seems your Uchiha clan wants to take over Konoha. Oh, what a smart man, pretending to be angry to trap Fugaku. Now he can't say yes, we want to rule Konoha since it will cause us to become the enemy of anyone greedy for power, meaning it will make most clan heads wary of us and lose their support, and if he says no, then no matter what we won't be able to gain too much power after this is over, I thought while waiting for Fugaku's reply. This reply will determine how the meeting is going to continue, so everyone was also waiting for it, and Fugaku didn't take long and said, an elder with your same position decided to betray the village for his own selfish desires, kill its citizens and ninja for his experiments, and doesn't care about the consequences of his actions at all. All this under your supervision, and his matter wasn't settled yet. And all you think about is who gets power after you? Do you care at all about this village? Good choice, Fugaku. Pick the 3rd choice and divert the topic to their incompetence, I thought. Hamura looked coldly at Fugaku but didn't say anything, and the people around them started whispering to each other. He's right, said Jonin 1. Yeah, the 4th wanted to do many things to make the village better and stop conflicts, but he always faced obstacles from the elders, Jonin 2. Yeah, they are still thinking about keeping their power and didn't even apologize or admit their wrongs one bit, Jonin 3. They have been in their positions for too long, Jonin 4. Hearing the whispers, the council's faces changed and Hiruzen 2 was the same, so he quickly tried to defuse the situation. Everyone, we all make mistakes. Of course, the elders aren't thinking about keeping their power and authority. They are just worried about the village, and they don't want it to be in the wrong hands. I finally couldn't hold it anymore and laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha. Let me guess. By the wrong hands you mean anyone but them, or what? Kohara, the only woman from the council, secretly signaled for one of the clan heads that support them, causing him to say, "Kid, know your place. This isn't a place for you to talk." These people really think I won't kill them, or what? I thought as my anger almost blinded me when I heard what this puppet said. I looked at Kohara coldly and said, "Next time use a sneakier signal when you ask your puppet to act in your place." The man tried to retort again, but he quickly shut his mouth when he felt the killing intent directed at him from Hayashi and Fugaku, causing him to feel a chill down his spine. "We are still waiting for your answer, Hiruzen, and let not waste any more time. Are you willing to execute Danzo and step down from your position as a Hokage along with the two rotten mummies behind you, or not?" I said directly. The people here didn't know what to think about the boldness of this kid, but they also wanted to hear the answer, so they remained silent. Hiruzen sighed and said sadly, "I can do anything as long as it's for the benefits of the village, but to dismiss the council is too much since they really weren't aware of the darkness inside of Danzo's heart, and it would cause a huge gap in the administration system of the village, and finding a replacement would be very hard. I hope th dash." I rudely cut off his emotional BS speech and said, "Don't worry, the village is filled with talented people that can fill their shoes and more. As for why they deserve it, simple, they are showing no remorse, and even now they didn't apologize for it, so their chance for repentance is gone now." Koharu and Hamura were shaking in anger, and Hiruzen was about to get mad too, but seeing that what I said was true and those two didn't apologize at all caused him to swallow his words. Damn this kid. Those two probably don't feel in the wrong at all, and should be since they did nothing in the first place, but he used their egos against them. "It seems we are really too old for this," Hiruzen thought, before he said, "Everyone, please raise your hand if you want the council members to be dismissed." Finally showing your last hand, I thought as I looked around the room. Hiruzen, not wanting to be the one to make the decision of dismissing the council, decided to make it a vote, and results were very clear, because the moment his voice died down, almost everyone in the room raised their hands with the exception of few clan heads that are close to the council members. Looking at the inevitable result, Hiruzen with a sad face said, "Today, the council consisting of its remaining members Hamura Midokado and Kohyudatane is dismissed, and I as the third Hokage shall step down from my position." Everyone felt like they were dreaming when they heard what Hiruzen said. After all, these four along with Danzo held most of the power in Konoha. Who would have thought that just one of them will bring the fall of the rest with him? But then they remembered the ones that played the biggest role in this. A big Uchiha monster nicknamed Wicked Eye that lived up to his name, along with a small Uchiha monster that survived a Kage-level attack and saved the Hyuga clan head. As everyone was dazed, a serene voice broke this silence. It was Fugaku, back to his famous stoic face. "It's time for Danzo's execution before we start thinking about appointing the next Hokage and council members." Hearing what he said, both Koharu and Hamura just stormed out of the room in anger, while Hiruzen stayed looking at their backs and sighed. "We truly aren't as good as we thought." Meanwhile, the people that supported their stay shrunk back on their seat and didn't say anything else. Shikaku said, "I agree with Fugaku. What Danzo did deserve the death penalty, and we need to hurry so we can come to an agreement on whom to be the next Hokage and council members, to not let the other hidden villages take advantage of our unstable situation." Choza Akimichi, a tall, plump man with naturally brown hair, but seems to wear a long, spiky red hairpiece. He has purple markings on his cheeks and wears a samurai-like outfit, which entails a black suit complete with armor that has the kanji for food on it. He also wears a rope belt, handguards, and instead of a forehead protector, a hachimaki tied around his head. This was Choji's father and the head of the Akimichi clan, and now he had a cruel look on his face when said, "Indeed, let make it quick. Who wants to witness it?" Fugaku said with a cold look, "I will go." "Same here," I said with a smile. And soon many others wanted to witness it. These people are the ones that suffered from Danzo and wanted to make sure that he gets what he deserves. Hiruzen kept looking at this sadly before he said, "I will also follow you," while thinking, "At least I will say goodbye, old friend." And so, just like that, a group of people went in the direction of Konoha's torture and interrogation building where the criminals are imprisoned. To their surprise when they arrived, they noticed a huge disturbance inside the building with guards rushing everywhere, as if searching for someone, causing everyone to have a bad feeling. Fugaku quickly got hold of a guard and started questioning him. What happened here? Why is everyone rushing around? The guard looked reluctant to reveal what happened, but when he saw Hiruzen also approach and nod at him, he let out a sigh and started talking. While I thought Hiruzen still has his authority, huh? This needs to change quickly. Before I started listening to what the guard said. Shimura Danzo, the highest level criminal recently caught, was rescued by a masked man. We don't know what ability he used, but from what we saw in our surveillance camera, he seemed to appear out of swirling vortex directly inside the cell where Danzo was held before he used that same ability to disappear again, this time taking Danzo with him, and we could get there to stop him in time. The people present were shocked before they remembered what Hiruzen told them about Minato's encounter with the masked man and his weird abilities. Hiruzen quickly got out of his shock and ordered getting he wasn't the Hokage anymore, lock all the exits around Konoha and search for any traces of the masked man and Danzo quickly. This was a big hit to the pride of everyone, especially Fugaku. After all this, someone came in and just stole his hard-earned prize, while Hiruzen was worried about Danzo leaking information to Konoha's enemies since he didn't trust him anymore. Yet no matter how much they are going to search, they will never find him. After all, by now Danzo was in a whole different dimension. Every ninja in the village started searching inside and outside the village, especially those with sensor abilities like the Uchiha, the Hyuga, the Inuzuka, the Aburame, and those that have sensor summons like Kakashi's dogs all sprinted into action. Meanwhile, the clan heads regrouped quickly inside the Hokage Tower to decide on the Hokage, and the new council members, and Hiruzen simply acted as moderator from the people present. I believe that the ones qualified to be the Hokage are Fugaku Uchiha, Hayashi Hyuga, and Shikaka Nara. There's also my two students Jiraiya and Tsunade, but right now the situation is urgent, so we need to choose from the people present. Some people felt disappointed at not being qualified, but the people Hiruzen chose are truly the best Konoha can afford currently, so they agreed. Still, someone didn't agree. To the shock of everyone, it was Hayashi who said with a weird look, "I do not want to be Hokage, and my support will be for the Uchiha." The people looked perplexed at Hayashi before they noticed that he was looking at the kid behind Fugaku, and when they saw his smile they felt a chill and thought, what a scary kid. Indeed, Bakorio was ready to beat the crap out of Hayashi if didn't get the message. But people quickly accepted his choice, knowing that these two clans somehow got closer, and Hiruzen too nodded, "That's fine," while thinking, there's still Shikaka to contend for the Positio Dash. But before he could finish this thought, Shikaka simply rubbed the back of his head with his hand and said with the famous bored look of the Nara clan, "Sorry, but being a Hokage is just a huge drag. Being the Jonin commander is already killing me, so I decline." Everyone's jaw almost dropped to the floor, including mine, since I didn't expect this at all and was preparing many moves in the case they chose him instead of Fugaku, including going back to the past to change their mind, but in the end everything happened like we wanted. "Are you sure?" Hiruzen this time asked for confirmation, unlike the case with Hayashi, and Shikaka simply yawned and said disinterestedly, yeah, I'm sure." People thought that he wasted a huge chance with his laziness, but only those that knew him better, like the head of the Yamanaka clan and Choza, understood the true thoughts of this strategist. Let hope these stupid internal conflicts end with this. After all, they deserve it, Shikaka thought before he closed his eyes. Hiruzen sighed for the 1000th time today before he said, "Then it's decided. Fugaku Uchiha is officially the 5th Hokage."
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.